Hi, Peter. Pleasure meeting you again. And today I thought it would be great to talk about how the executive job market is in US, is the US and in Europe. And because especially with the COVID crisis, we saw a different situation and different reaction especially from the company's perspective. Would you like to start maybe telling us a little bit about how the US companies reacted and how the executive job market changed in the US due to COVID crisis?
Sure, Thomas. It's obviously a very topical issue that we should be talking about. I think the first thing is you have to differentiate between the headlines that you see in the news or on the newspaper and what's actually going on in the market. It is certainly true that there's a deep retrenching in the restaurant industry, the cruise ship industry, entertainment industries, any place where people have to congregate. Clearly, there's a major retrenching going on and a rethinking. So those are not good industries right now to be pursuing a career in. However, we've had 8 clients land at Amazon, for example, in the past 2 months. There are many industries that are booming, including online retailing, just to name one. Many aspects of the health industries and many online services are really booming for us. So overall, I think the important point would be to say that it is a different response by industry. And it's very different at the, let's say, blue collar level versus the executive level. The executive market for us is very much alive. We've had, let's see, 28 clients, 30 clients actually in the last 8 weeks who have landed or received significant offers. So our point would be, don't wait on the sidelines, come into the market right now and use professional advice because that's how you find the jobs.
Yeah. No, thank you, Peter. I mean, for me, it was also surprisingly to see how different and much faster companies reacted in the US, maybe moving to the layoffs if they needed to much faster than in Europe. But also at the same time, in the industries that you pointed out, hiring. Right. Whereas in Europe, what we saw is actually that most companies, still refrain from significant layoffs. And, maybe they reduce the paycheck and salaries by like 25% and trying to still to protect the workforce. However, the risk is that, if the crisis continues, they will still have to go to the more drastic measurement and go to layoffs, maybe in a couple of months, 2-3 months time. And, to your point, it's actually better, if you have to look for a job, it's better to start now to be before that wave, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, certainly there's a psychographic element to this too. I mean, some people are familiar with DISC and some are not, but those who are dominant, who are willing to be risk tolerant, they have a tendency to come into the market right now. And those who are, let's say, high S, who are kind of waiting on the sidelines, they will suffer a little bit if they don't step over their shadow and get started. Another thing that we see is that companies are actually changing the profile of their management because we're in crisis mode, more or less globally and economically. Some people are well suited to steady as she goes, and some people are more prepared for crisis mode. So there's a psychographic shift in the profiling at the moment, which means new opportunity for people looking for jobs.
Yeah, and for new, style of leadership, the leaders that actually can manage through the crisis and through unknown, which is, it's quite a unique set of skills. And Peter, going back to comparing the US and European executive job market, because in your long career, you spent many, many years in Europe, and also you use career management services both in the US and in Europe. How would you compare both, career management and executive job markets? How they similar, but also how they are different?
Well, I have 2 degrees in literature and I've been in many different industries over the years. So I think one of the things that was confusing for Europeans is why I never had the credentials for the jobs that I got. So
Okay.
that is one fundamental difference. I mean, obviously in Germany and some places where title is everything, it's hard to understand. But at the end of the day, if you can demonstrate transferability of skills and experience, I think most people, particularly in the unpublished market, are willing to take a serious look. If they have an issue and you appear to be the solution, they will take a serious look at you regardless of your background, regardless of your title. That's my experience. So I think that's one thing. That's perhaps a more American approach to the whole recruitment area. I did work with a recruiter that is a career change organization in England who was focused entirely on recruiters. That did not work for me. I have only once received a job in my career through a recruiter. Otherwise, it's all been through the unpublished market, which is, of course, the Barrett Group's sweet spot. About 75% of our clients land through the unpublished market. And I think that might be one of the fundamental differences, that our process helps people who have no knowledge of the unpublished market discover the unpublished market and discover the opportunities there, as opposed to simply sending resumes blindly to online advertisements or to recruiters who may not be interested because it doesn't match their current search profile.
Yeah, no, I think you are right. I mean, the biggest, I think, added value and actually similarity is the importance of the unpublished market, both in the US and in Europe. Maybe the CV standards or picture included or not, especially in the more of a continental Europe type of setting versus US is different. But also what I found, presenting the really value that you can bring to the company, that's I think also something that it's very similar between both markets, European and the US.
Well, I remember one of my experiences. I moved from the amusement park industry to the mayonnaise manufacturing industry, and actually privatized a former communist chicken combinat in Czechoslovakia with no experience in the food industry. And the reason I got that job was exactly the point that you make, and that is I demonstrated the transferability of experience. I was able to open new markets and grow revenue sources and do things like that in the amusement park industry, which were directly transferable to this food industry in the opening of Eastern Europe back in the early 90s.
So maybe thank you, Peter. Let me ask you maybe the last question. And it's about, obviously the Barrett Group was founded 30 years ago in the US. And how do you find the Barrett Group methodology being actually effective in Europe? And what helps that to make effective?
Well, I think it is exactly the points that we've raised earlier. So clarity is always welcome, right? And it is a USP for the Barrett Group. As far as I know, no other company offers a targeting component of its program, such as clarity, which is holistic and really represents a handshake between the client and the career consultant. So that's unique and equally valuable in Europe or anywhere in the world. The other thing is that I've certainly enriched the Barrett Group processes over the years because of my European experience. So we have conversants with European CV formats and that sort of thing in as far as that's relevant. But I think the real secret sauce is the access to the unpublished market, which for many people is a new idea, not only in Europe, but also in the US. They still think of recruiters as being the main avenue to the market. And there's nothing wrong with recruiters. It's just that a recruiter is working against a fixed profile. And if you have that profile, great. And if you don't, you're of no relevance to the recruiter. Whereas in the unpublished market, we can take your raw experience and transfer it to other industries and other geographies and other roles, which greatly broadens the target area. And that is completely applicable in Europe, the US, Asia, worldwide.
Thank you very much, Peter, for talking to me today. I think it was very valuable to me and hopefully to the LinkedIn network. And thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for all of your help and support. And remember, stay healthy.
Stay healthy likewise. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.